This proves that the Minnesota Wild are built different. After one of the most disappointing losses in franchise history, the Wild players have spoken out and showed that this team is not out yet, and fans are going to love what we're hearing in this video. Now, there is stuff to take away positive from last game, as me and Josh mentioned in the last video, but we're going to break it all down, these comments here in this video. Very quickly, before we jump into it, we're currently on the road to 100 subscribers, and your guys' support has been absolutely incredible this far. Be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We know that quite a few of you guys, almost everybody watching this video right now, are not subscribed. But without any further ado, let's get into this video. Starting off here with the quotes from Joe Smith from the player, starting up with Brock Faber. He says, "This thing is far from over." And this is the comment that we all expected. We know this team. We know the way that this team is built, the way that this Minnesota organization has been for years. They play game to game. They do not fall off of a loss. They're ready to go every single game, and especially playing back at Xcel Energy Center next game, this team is ready to roll. And the loss, as I mentioned, very disappointing. We're going to kind of touch on that here a little bit in this video. We have a better screenshot of the actual offside call, and of course the overtime play, which really was a detrimental game decision there at that point, but that's past, that's the history. Now we have to move on from this. But Marc Andre Fleury has also spoken out and says, "We were just inches away," and we give another shout out to Marc Andre Fleury here, coming in cold after Filip Gustavsson was sick, which ultimately just sucked for him. Congratulations to Fleury for playing so well on this, especially coming in cold, and very, very well done for Filip Gustavsson for holding this game. And I'm very surprised he honestly played as long as he did, with as sick as he was from what we've been hearing. So this goaltending tandem, as I mentioned, very important that any team in the NHL has someone you trust as a backup, especially when it comes to playoff time. Now, there were a few jokes on Twitter when that quote from Marc Andre Fleury came out that they were only inches away from going for this win, and realistically, people made a bit of fun, which, is fair. It's the point. We laugh to have it, to get rid of the pain, but with Marco Rossi, I believe here, that even though 20 feet away at one particular time tonight, which ultimately led to that overtime goal, with a pretty terrible defensive play from Merrill there. So, definitely not what we want to see next game, and whether or not that means Boyan will be in, whether that means, maybe we'll see a Liam Ogren, a Vilhelm Stroza, someone along the lines of a roster change, that's still yet to be determined, as the Wild are still in the early mornings of today. So we may have an update later today. Tomorrow definitely will have one, so be sure to stick around, hit the sub button if you do want to find that out. But we do have many, many more quotes here, especially this one coming from Ryan Hartman. He says, "It happens 50 times a game. Just what happened to be on was a goal. You feel bad, but nothing Nyquist should feel down about." And once again, team, the Minnesota Wild, falling for each other. They're picking each other up. They're making sure that, there's not one player that feels out of it. And as I mentioned in a previous video here, this Wild team is one of the only teams I've seen in quite some time where every single player has touched the puck, and every single player has felt confident with that puck. And there are certain instances where some people are more than others. Now, examples of being that first and second line compared to the fourth line of mainly Trenyan and as well as Brazeau. But when we're looking at them, when they're on the ice, they play well. They may not be as good as some other players, but we can trust them in certain situations, and that's a good thing for the Wild. So I do love this quote from Hartman here, even though he was the goal scorer. I had that little Gretzky run goal celebration called back, but that's just the way hockey works. You're not going to get all of them. Ryan Hartman himself has been a victim of a few offside calls due to him being offside, so he understands what it means, and that's just put it in the back seat. Let's go again for Game 6 and win this one at home for a Game 7 here. But we do have more quotes as well from Eriksson Ek, Matt Boldy, as well as some other players here. But Matt Boldy said, "It's part of the game. That's what the cameras are for." And unfortunately, I thought we played a great game tonight, and they absolutely did. Especially with, Marc Andre Fleury coming in, with this whole team really rolling here at the beginning of the game. We saw a team that was ready to come out and win, and ultimately just a luck of the draw. You're offside by an inch, which ultimately leads to you being the losers in this game, which it'll happen. That's the way that hockey works. But Minnesota are bound to bounce back. And as I mentioned, it's going to be very exciting, these quotes that we're seeing over the next few days from these players. We've seen Brock Faber, Matt Boldy, Ryan Hartman, Marc Andre Fleury, just about everybody speak about this game and say, people are counting us out. Why are they counting us out? We have one of the best rosters in the NHL when healthy, and we saw that throughout this season. A lot of injuries and a lot of results where the Wild still came out on top, and now that we're seeing everybody back healthy, there still are certainly some injuries there that are not being told. We can tell that, but that everybody's playing. Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, those two have been lighting the lamp on this team, and it really goes to show that getting to Adin Hill is something that the Wild can do. They can get there every game. We've seen them crash the net, score some goals, and I'm excited to see this Game 6 again, and hopefully we do see a few roster moves there, but if we don't, we keep on going. You roll, absolutely roll again, and when we're pointing about this offside here, this is the better camera angle that me and Josh didn't have last night. This came out this morning from an actual image, was on the broadcast, but we just couldn't get that exact screen grab, but you see there, I'll pull it up on the bigger screen for you guys. Gustav Nyquist was offside by about an inch, and ultimately, you understand why he probably thinks he wasn't offside because the body is over the blue line, but the rules are if your skate is at least hovering over it, you're onside, and it was just unlucky, the way, the path that he did take for this, and Ryan Hartman also coming in on the wing the other side. So, we move, things like this are going to happen, and hopefully that we do see, a little bit of stuff cleaned up here for next game, because we can't expect this here to happen again, but we just got to make sure it doesn't to finish it off. But I do have another quote here from Michael Russo, a very interesting thing to look at when we do come down to it. He said, was thinking last night watching the Minnesota Wild defend and protect Marc Andre Fleury in the third, 0 shots in 13 minutes and 43 seconds, how it was identical to a 2014 Game 7 in Denver when Kemper had to leave the game in the third in Kamper-Skalov, and the Wild gave up 1 shot in 13 minutes before Nino Niederreiter won in OT. That's the biggest shame of last night's defeat. Such a wasted performance, and I feel like that's how everybody felt as well, and I feel like Michael Russo put it best here on in writing, and being able to just put it and look at it as a game that we had in the bag, just ultimately lost and went out here and couldn't finish it off, as something that's going to be sticking with this team, and hopefully they take that as a positive here for next game and come out and know that they have to win it and there's no other choice. So I do think the Minnesota Wild crowd, and I'm sure many of you guys are going to be there, that crowd is going to be absolutely insane. I expect this team to come out firing next game, and I'm very excited to see how we do play in this Vegas game, and I do expect that Vegas is going to come out pretty slow. I may make a bold take here, but I'm really feeling that. And we do have one more quote here from Matt Boldy as well, going over what we're feeling about the game. He says, we're feeling good. We're feeling confident in our game. We know that we can play the right way. We can beat this team. I think that we've just got to kind of put that one behind us, stay positive, I guess, take our good, fix up the bad, kind of just keep the energy up. I think that's the biggest thing. You can't be deflated. It's a series. You go back home, you use the fans, you try to win that game, and then anything happens in Game 7. Matt Boldy, a leader on this team, and has emerged as his true potential is finally showing here. And not that it hasn't all season, but we're really seeing what Matt Boldy's, extreme level of play has been here, and how good he's been with Kirill Kaprizov, with anybody on the ice. And with these guys speaking out, with these guys leading the team, their voices mean so much in the locker room, even though they may not have letters. Kirill Kaprizov at the A, Matt Boldy there. These guys are speaking out. They are being followed by this team, and the team gets the energy lifted up by these guys, not just on their performance on the ice, but what they're saying to the media, in the locker room, everything like this. So I'm very, very excited to see how this does come out next game with Game 6. And as the guys have mentioned, just keep it simple. Fix up the mistakes. Keep the good. A lot of good here. And we'll see as well what happens with the updates that we have on the roster moves, whether we're not going to see Liam Ogren, maybe Zeke Boyan back in, whether or not we can see Gustavsson back in next game. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to have here on the channel, so be sure to hit the sub button. You won't want to miss it as we head in to our Game 6 and then Game 7 with that win, hopefully. But that's all we got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. And remember, we're on the road to 100 subscribers, and you want to be one of the first 100 on the channel as we cover the Wild here. We're going to have all the news for you here throughout this rest of the playoffs and throughout the offseason. You won't want to miss it. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.